very
We'll
good.
record. Okay, thank you. 4 minutes, just like you said. So, good evening. Thank you very much for joining our interviews on Tuesday nights. As I was telling everybody, this week is the side of the Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka, the Rebbe's wife and the daughter of the previous Rebbe. And I invited Rabbi Shemtov, and he's very gracious. It's late at night there, but really appreciate your sharing some time with us. So, first, if you could just introduce yourself, give us a little bit of who you are and how you came to have a connection with the Rebbetzin, and if you could share some memories, some thoughts, some insights in her honor, we'd really appreciate it.
So I think before anything, we have to do is L'chaim. I think
Okay.
that's step number one.
All right.
Talking about the Rebbetzin and the
Time.
yard site coming up, this is a very important date. V'chayit in Levi. So Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'akol niyah b'dvarei.
Amen. L'chaim livracha.
Chaya l'vracha l'chaim. Chayit in Levi. That we have to take the heart, the great neshama of the Rebbetzin Chaim Mushka, and we should give her nachas, and she should have a tremendous nachas from us. And on the day of the yard site is a day neshama has an aliyah, and we hope and we daven that the neshama of Rebbetzin Chaim Mushka, together with the Rebbe, come down here in this world before the yard site, Dolamata,
Amen.
Ashmi, and we go together with Mashiach Yisrael, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Amen. L'chaim livracha. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful way to get started.
That's what they taught me.
Taught you well.
Good. So, a couple things. First of all, I want to say straight out, I never met the Rebbetzin Chaim Mushka. A lot of people keep on saying I should tell them the memories of when I met Rebbetzin Chaim Mushka. I never met her, and I don't believe I ever even saw her. There are some people who saw her. 99.99% of Chabad never saw Rebbetzin Chaim Mushka.
And this is from someone who grew up in Crown Heights, right? So
Yes,
it's not like you
yes,
would have lived in some foreign country and never
yes.
saw her.
No,
Okay.
no, no, never, ever. But I will tell you a little bit about my connection, which is really sort of my wife's connection, my Shver's connection, and it starts, I believe, 1948, 1949. The Frierdiker Rebbe called in a chassid into his Yechidus room. Chassid's name is Rabbi Zalman Posner, Olav Shalom. And the Frierdiker Rebbe tells him he'd like for him to go down to Nashville, Tennessee, to be involved in the shul, chinuch, bad work, whatever has to be done. 1949, there weren't 5,000 shluchim, and there wasn't a kinnis of shluchim. 1949, there were maybe a handful of shluchim. Rabbi Zalman Posner was a bacher at the time, and he hesitated. Frierdiker Rebbe said to him, the neshama, before it comes down in this world, the neshama hesitates. The neshama says, I don't want to come down to this physical world. The Gan Eden, Lamaila, by Hashem, it's warm, it's beautiful, there's light. Why should I want to come down into this world where it's dark and cold? And the Eibush tells the neshama that your job is to go down in Galus, in this physical world, and bring the warmth and the light into the world. Frierdiker Rebbe was going with his finger down, and Rabbi Zalman Posner got the message. The message is that his neshama has to go down south, and of course, after hearing this from Frierdiker Rebbe, he agreed. He went to Nashville, Tennessee. I think he might have been just getting engaged. Anyway, a little while later, he got married, and together with his very special Rebbetzin, they moved straight to Nashville, Tennessee. This is 1948 or 49. About 18 or 19 years later, Rabbi Posner and his wife brought this warmth, brought this light to a young American couple who lived in Nashville, Tennessee. The husband was in medical school. This was a couple that did not grow up Lubavitch. And this couple they enjoyed the warmth and they enjoyed the light and they received the Yiddishkeit, Chassidishkeit, the Varmkeit from Rabbi Zalman Posner and his Rebbetzin. This couple is my father-in-law and mother-in-law of Moshe and Miriam Feldman, Dr. Moshe and Miriam Feldman, Aliyah Mashal, blessed memory. They were living in Nashville, Tennessee, and my father-in-law was training to become a doctor. My mother-in-law was raising her two young children, second one being my wife, Sarah, the older one being my brother-in-law, Yitzchak Gedalia, Alav Shalom. And they got to know the Posners, and they got to know more about Yiddishkeit, and they felt the love and the warmth and the light and Lubavitch and the Rebbe. A few years later, they moved to the Bronx, where my father-in-law, Dr. Feldman, was training in Einstein, and he had a practice in the Bronx. And now it's 1976, and they're living in the Bronx, and it's Simchas Torah. And Simchas Torah took about 7 to 8 minutes. They went on the bim a few times in their shtibel, shul, whatever it was, and they came home. And the way my wife tells the story is that her mother said right then and there, the next year we're going to be in Crown Heights. We're going to be in Crown Heights, so we're going to have the Rebbe, Siddim, some 70. We're going to have a real Yom Tov. A year later, 1977, they rented the basement of Rabbi and Rebbetzin Metzger, who lang is stark, should be blessed and healthy, gesund. And they were there for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. They got seats. It's 70 Sukkos. Shmini Atzeres, 1977. I'm a young boy. Rabbi Epstein, do you remember that? What you did it?
Yeah, we were at camp, sure.
Yeah. And this is my memory. My memory is I'm standing on the bleachers opposite from where the Rebbe's Farbrengen is. If the Rebbe's Farbrengen is over there, I was all the way opposite over there. Obviously, this was a kafis, so the Rebbe is all the way in front. And I see that they're bringing a quart, a large cup, washing cup, with water to the Rebbe. And just as a young boy, I'm looking at this and thinking, what's going on? Something doesn't make sense. I've never seen that before. Also, Shemini Atzeres, the Rebbe always only eats or drinks in a sukkah, but they're bringing a washing cup to the Rebbe. And then a minute later, they bring a chair to the Rebbe. And in a minute later, they say, everybody out of the shul. The Rebbe's not feeling well. Everybody out of the shul. The chaos, it was unbelievable. And everybody went out of the shul. I was there as a young kid. Everybody was there. Everybody's wondering and questioning and crying and laugh, not laughing, but singing with Seder. So this is my experience. At the same time, Dr. Feldman came and a kafis by the Rebbe, and he heard they were calling that they need doctors to come to the Rebbe. So my father-in-law had with him my 3 brothers-in-law. He gave them to my mother-in-law, and he said, "Let me see what they need." And he went up to the Rebbe. Comes up to the Rebbe, and there were other doctors there also who were visiting, and he watched as the doctors told the Rebbe that the situation, the medical situation the Rebbe's in, it's important he goes to the hospital right away. The Rebbe said no, he's not going to the hospital. So my father was watching after doctor coming to the Rebbe, telling the Rebbe to go to the hospital. The Rebbe saying no, and what they did was they just left. They said, if you can't go, not going to the hospital, there's nothing we could hear. Then my father-in-law goes to the Rebbe, and he asked the Rebbe, why doesn't the Rebbe want to go to the hospital? And then he explained that even though we could bring machinery and other things here to be with the Rebbe, it's best if the Rebbe is treated in the hospital. Why wouldn't the Rebbe go to the hospital? So the Rebbe said, you see this desk? You see these walls? You see these svarim? The desk and the walls and the svarim that heard the cries of Yidden, Chassidim, this is going to bring me refuah shlema. My father-in-law didn't have to hear another word. He and Dr. Richter right away sprung into action. I remember this very clearly. They right away cars were going and coming from all over. They brought all kind of whatever they needed from different hospitals. And my father-in-law was stayed with the Rebbe for 48 hours straight till Motzei Sopostera. During that night, or towards early morning, well, not, let's say about, I don't know, maybe it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning. So my father and Dr. Richter realized that this can be too much for them to stay up the entire night, both of them, and by day. So they figured they'll switch off. So my father-in-law says that they went literally to put his head down so he could at least put his head down for a little while. And as he put his head down, they knocked on the door and they told him to come in because the Rebbe was suffering another heart attack. Later on, the doctors, and I don't know if it was Chassidim or Rabbanim, they were talking about sedating the Rebbe and taking the Rebbe to the hospital. And then the Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka comes down. She was staying upstairs. I think it's 70. She comes down and she asks what's going on. So they told her that the doctors have decided that the Rebbe has to go to the hospital. He doesn't want it. They just sedate him and take him to the hospital. And also Rabbanim said we should do this, and whoever else. She said, so what does my husband think? So they said, no, we didn't ask your husband. So I don't know the exact words, but something to the fact that Chaya Mushka said that as long as I know him, everything he says, he's right to the point. And if he doesn't want to go, he's not going to go. So he didn't go. Doctor said later that Baruch Hashem, he did not go to the hospital because Hashem had gone to the hospital. Things could have gotten much worse. After that, Yulia Krinsky was standing there, was going to the mosquito's office, where the secretaries have, and he sees there was a Chaya Mushka walking after him. So she asks Yudel, oh no, I'm sorry, she said Rabbi Krinsky. Rabbi Krinsky, you know so many people. Don't you know someone, a good doctor for my husband? So he says he was thinking, and finally he said, yes, I heard about a Dr. Ira Weiss from Chicago. And they made phone calls. They called Dr. Weiss. It was, I think, 6 in the morning. They told him the situation. He immediately packed up whatever he had to, and he went straight to the airport. And he got to the airport. He got a police escort to 70, and he was the Rebbe's official cardiologist. We all remember seeing him then and coming, always to Fabrengens. I should mention that Dr. Weiss stated, I don't know how long, but for quite a while, he stayed with the Rebbe. Now, staying away from his practice means he lost his patients and he lost a lot of the patients basically went elsewhere. And I don't know exactly detail. Dr. Weiss could tell it to you. He's locally in Chicago, but there was a tremendous financial loss that he just disregarded the fact that he had patients waiting from Chicago, and he felt that was what he was needed most for the Rebbe. So Dr. Weiss was there, and Dr. Larry Resnick came to be with the Rebbe. My father-in-law and my mother-in-law, Shalom, together with the rest of the families, like Gesund, they went back to the Bronx. I say that every night, my father-in-law, after he saw patients in his office, he would come back as a 70 and stay every night a few hours together with the Rebbe, just to monitor, to be there. So they had somebody 24 hours. So that's really when my father-in-law began his connection, his kesher, and really his skashos to the Rebbe. Literally that moment when the Rebbe told him why he's staying there, he didn't, he lived in Nashville, Tennessee, lived in the Bronx, but he understood and recognized that if the Rebbe said he's staying there, that's it. He became a chassid literally at that moment. Moving along, he remained on the team of doctors of the Rebbe, would see the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin on a regular basis. My in-laws had 4 children, and the Rebbe gave my in-laws a bracha to have another child. Baruch Hashem, they have a fifth child. They had a fifth child. They still have a fifth child. Her name is Rivka Nussbaum, married to Rabbi Akiva Nussbaum. They have Muncie, but they have 10 children. Can I know how to? And after she was born, the Rebbetzin Mushka bought her a dress. So my wife had a chance to go to the Rebbetzin together with her sister to show the Rebbetzin the dress. She went there a few times, and then at some point she asked, is it okay for her to discuss shidduchim with the Rebbetzin? And she was told yes. So she was discussing with the Rebbetzin about shidduchim, a match, find a young man, boy. And at some point, the Rebbetzin said to Sarah that maybe the one who's for you is not here now. Maybe the Bach who's you're supposed to meet and engaged is not here now. Maybe he's in South Africa. Maybe he's in Morocco. I happened to be in Morocco at the time. Anyway, I came back, and a while later, we dated, and we were about to ride into the Rebbe. And now it's Friday, the 10th of Shvat, Yud Shvat, Tavshim Ches, 1988. Sarah asked if she could go see the Rebbetzin that night when the Rebbe was in the shul, and the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin stayed in the library then. She went and met the Rebbetzin. And she told the Rebbetzin, as I came in the past to tell you, discuss with you what shidduch, I came to tell you that we're going to write into the Rebbe on Sunday. The Rebbetzin right away wished her Mazel Tov. And Sarah said, it's not a Mazel Tov yet because we didn't write to the Rebbe. In retrospect, that was the Mazel Tov. We got engaged, Yud Shvat, Tavshim Ches, when Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka said Mazel Tov. So then she asked her, if I could ask you, what is his name? Because obviously we didn't tell anybody the names of the boy or the girl before we had the bracha with the Rebbe. And she said his name is Levi Shemtov. So the Rebbetzin asked Sarah, is this the grandson of Ben Sion Shemtov? Ben Sion Shemtov Maizeda was a very, very big chassid of her father, the Frierdiker Rebbe, back in Russia, and always later on. And he was a very big chassid of the Rebbe. And my wife said, yes, he's the grandson of Ben Sion Shemtov. So the Rebbetzin said to Sarah, I'm very happy to hear that, because now I know you're going to speak to your children in Yiddish. And that's very important. We got Yubei Shvat, 12th of Shvat. We wrote to the Rebbe, got a very beautiful bracha, a skama from the Rebbe that she got engaged. I go to Dr. Feldman's house, my wife's parents' house on President Street. And a few minutes later, the phone rings. And who's on the phone? It's Mrs. Schneerson from President Street. That's the way she introduced herself. And she wanted to speak to Sarah. They called Sarah. Sarah came to the phone. I was standing there, but there was no speakerphone. Sarah spoke to her. She gave her a tremendous amount of brachas. It just so happens that while we were there, I had my brother Ben C. Shemtov, was a big
shliach in Chicago now.
Big shliach in Chicago,
most prominent.
And then she had her sister Rivka in her lap, and somebody took a few pictures, and these pictures were brought to the Rebbetzin the next day. And so we got engaged. A few days later, we were talking about, my father was talking about that we're going to meet the Rebbetzin. Okay, a few days later, just asked, is any news? And my father said that she's not feeling so well. We'll give her a few more days, and everything should be okay. Well, Yubei Shvat, 12th day of Shvat, we got engaged, and 10 days later was this Chapei Shvat, the 22nd day of Shvat, and she passed away. So I never got a chance to go and see the Rebbetzin, my wife. Just moving right along, obviously the Levi was it was a very, very sad day. Just to look at the Rebbe's eyes and see the Rebbe's face, it was beyond devastating. It was the pain. This was the closest person to the Rebbe, the greatest confidant, the one person who cared for the Rebbe more than anyone else, the one person who was always there for the Rebbe. What a chassid. And for the Rebbe, this was tremendous. You could see the videos, you could see the pictures, and I remember seeing the Rebbe's walking to Levi. It was beyond. And there's a shiva in the house, and we davened during the shiva, the Rebbe's house, Rebbe's house. After the shiva, the Rebbe asked my father, "What are the plans for the l'chaim?" So back then, going back to 1988, the Rebbe was very much for small l'chaims in the house. No big thing, no halls, no music, no catering, just nice l'chaim in the house. So my father said that the l'chaim was going to be in the house by the Shemtovs, my parents. So the Rebbe said that maybe they should do it in a hall because this was something that would make her happy. Okay, so my father calls my parents, and they're not going to make it in the house; they make it in the hall. Then a few days later, the Rebbe said they should have real dishes, not just plastic, but china dishes. Fine, that's the plan. And then a few days later, the Rebbe said it should be live music because this is what she would have wanted. So we had live music in a hall, real dishes, about a week after the Shiva. So still within the month, and people literally thought we were crazy. This is nonsense. This is terrible. This is not the chutzpah. This is not respectful. So we were very, very clear that this was not our idea. This is clearly coming straight from the Rebbe. And at the l'chaim, I chazed the Maimer. Everybody chazed us. I did the Maimer of Yitzhvat that year. We got married Chav Bei Sivan, exactly 4 months after Chav Bei Shvat, and a year goes by, and 2 years go by, and 3 years go by, and 4 years go by, and there's no children. And at some point, my wife told me that the Rebbetzin told her that we're going to speak to our children in Yiddish. So we both realized, and we were holding on to this, we are going to speak to our children in Yiddish. 4 years go by, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, and Baruch Hashem, 13 years later, 2001, Chavtei Menachemov, my twins, Baruch Hashem, were born, a boy and a girl and a boy, should I say first. And the girl's name is, that's right, Chaya Mushka. And the boy's name is, that's right, Menachem Mendel. And Baruch Hashem, 3 years later, we, Baruch Hashem, had a Yosef. So we have 3 kids, Baruch Hashem. And yes, she did her end of the deal, and the Rebbe gave us brachas, and my father asked her brachas, Rosh Chodesh Kislev. There's a lot of wonderful things, and brachas, and we spoke to them Yiddish. Am I running out of time? Baruch?
Give us one more quick vart, one more quick story.
I will say this. To understand a little bit who the Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka is the year after the Frierdiker passed away, the Rebbe, as well known, did not want to accept the leadership of Chabad become the Rebbe. My Zayde, been seeing Shemtov, actually, I think he was in England at the time. They wrote a whole ksav kashas, a whole letter of connection and accepting the Rebbe as the Rebbe, and he got a list of names all the way, names of people sitting accepting the Rebbe as the Rebbe. The Rebbe would look at it, and the Rebbe would go like this, throw it away, literally. This is going on a whole year, and I verified and confirmed it today. From the name of Rabbi Yosef Weinberg, whose granddaughter is married to Benzi Shemtov, Hani Shemtov. And it was confirmed. I heard a video, I heard an audio video, and I saw it written in base in Yemei Bereshis. Rabbi Weinberg said that the Rebbetzin, she came to the Rebbe and she told the Rebbe that the Rebbe has to become the next Rebbe. Because otherwise, what's going to happen to all the Mesiras Nefesh and all the Chassidus that my father did? So perhaps, or maybe definitely, this is what prompted and gave the Rebbe the encouragement to become the Rebbe. So think about this. The Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka was the daughter of a Rebbe, the granddaughter of a Rebbe, great granddaughter of a Rebbe, she knew fully well that the Rebbe become the Rebbe, her husband becomes the Rebbe. There's no time for family life. There's no time to be together because it is very few moments or hours to be together because the Rebbe is going to be the Rebbe of the whole, all the Yidden, the whole world. And she was Ibigegeben, devoted, committed to the Rebbe. There were nights that Rebbe had Yechidus till 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and then Rabbi Krinsky would bring the Rebbe home. Who would be sitting in the house with tea or whatever else to eat or to drink for the Rebbe? The Rebbetzin was sitting there with a smile to makabel and welcome her husband or Rebbe. Can we even imagine the devotion that the Rebbetzin had to our Rebbe, what it meant for the Rebbe? And ask any wife or husband, your spouse is going to be up a whole night. Okay, I'll see you in the morning. Don't wake me up. Don't turn the lights on. Don't make sure I'm. The Rebbetzin, there was no such thing. If the Rebbe is in some 70 and the Rebbe is Farbringing and the Rebbe Yechidus and how many Farbringings went on to 1, 2, 3 in the morning, the Rebbetzin didn't go to sleep. The Rebbetzin was there waiting for the Rebbe. So l'chaim of Racha.
Time of Rabbi Shemtov, thank you.
We owe the Rebbetzin a lot. I have to say one more thing. I'm sorry.
Please. That's okay.
I'll say one more thing. This is my father-in-law. I verified, confirmed it yesterday. My father-in-law said in the name of Chesed Halberstam. Chesed Halberstam once asked the Rebbe, what's the difference between the bracha from the Rebbe and a bracha from the Rebbetzin? So the Rebbe said, the bracha from the Rebbetzin, you don't have to have a keli. A bracha from the Rebbetzin, straight, you get it. My bracha, you need a keli. So let's hope and let's daven that the Rebbetzin is the mother of all of us. How many times the Rebbetzin said that our kids in some 70, our kids are the Shluchim, our kids are the Chassidim. She is our mother, she's our Rebbetzin, she's the biggest Chassid of the Rebbe. The Chaim, she's benching us. And Hashem should bless us. We should have all the brachas. And very, very soon we should be reunited with our Rebbe, Rebbetzin Mashiach. Amen.
Amen.